So this past week, this man, James Fishback, who's running against Ron DeSantis for governor of Florida, proposed just the most ridiculous legislation that I've heard in a long time. That's obviously a huge threat to free speech and free expression, but it's also just really insane because for people that don't know, Florida doesn't have any sort of income tax. That's why a lot of billionaires move to Florida or declare residence in Florida or set up their banking there. Peter Thiel has residence in Florida. Just billionaires love Florida. Okay, there's billionaire venture capitalists. They all move to Florida or Texas because it's essentially a tax haven. So this week, this Florida governor candidate proposed a 50% tax on OnlyFans creator revenue. He basically targeted Sophie Rain, who is herself a OF creator, and he went after her and he said, I will not allow a generation of smart and capable young women to sell their bodies online. Okay. He's a reactionary, terrible man. But this is also just a very stupid, stupid law. And we're going to get into that. So let's first just read through this excellent article on Reason. Reason's a libertarian magazine, but Elizabeth Nolan Brown is my friend. She's a wonderful person. She has great reporting on these topics, and she wrote this great article. So politicians proposing extra taxes on adult purchases or proceeds is nothing new. But Florida gubernatorial candidate James Fishback's proposed tax stands out for the extraordinary paternalism that comes along with it. He said, the quote that we just read, he posted to X, it's standard these days for anti-adult content warriors to wring their hands about how corn viewership is corrupting young men and driving up loneliness, or to proclaim to be protecting children, or to claim that all performers are victims of human trafficking. So it's almost refreshing to see someone crusading against all of this on essentially these types of grounds. And then she says, Liz is joking that at least he jokes that these creators can be smart and capable women. But here's the detail. He wants to take women's agency away, right? That's what all of this is about. It's about stripping women from having any sort of agency or power over their own image. We know that the shift from the traditional studio model in the adult industry to the OF model led to this massive power shift, right? Suddenly, it's not a bunch of old, creepy men who run all the production companies that have the power. Now women can monetize their own image and likeness, and they can profit hugely from it, as Sophie Rain and the rest of the girls in her content house have. But of course, men like James Fishback don't like that. They don't want women to have any sort of agency or autonomy or make money for themselves. These are like gross reactionary men that just want like they're just like trad wife type men. They don't want women to have any rights. So he's calling for a 50% tax on whatever people make, aka women make via OF. And he says that he will, it's going to be a sin tax, which, by the way, I should tell you everything. If you're calling something a sin tax and it's a sin, like, first of all, I don't even believe in the concept of sins, right? Like, that's a religious concept that I think a lot of people don't even necessarily believe in. I'm not very religious, and I don't believe in the concept of sinning, but the fact that he's calling it a sin tax, I think, reveals it all. But and then he says that money is going to be used to fund education, crisis pregnancy centers, aka schmomortion centers, and a mental health czar for men. Of course, no mental health czar for women. No one cares about women, right? Like, we just spent all this time in the last segment talking about how, like, these people are like Jonathan Haidt are doing this moral panic over women's mental health, the anxieties of young women. Why are they so anxious? Why are they so miserable? Young liberal women. Okay, but only men get the mental health czar. It's ridiculous. He went on to complain that toxic masculinity gets blamed for too many of society's ills when, presumably it's the women's fault. He said, I don't want young women who could otherwise be mothers raising families, rearing children. I don't want them to be selling their bodies to sick men online, which as Liz notes. So who's to blame? Are the men to blame or are the women? Because you're not punishing the men. It's very ridiculous, right? Like if it's the men's fault, then why aren't you doing a tax on the men? You know, like why aren't you taxing men who buy it? Why are you like the whole thing is just like absurd. Um, but yeah, none of this this all just makes no sense. But of course, he's going for the groypers. He wants like these groyper idiots to to vote for him or whatever. So, uh, whose podcast does he go on? He goes to talk to some of the greatest minds in our societies in our society right now. This up and coming politician who again is running for governor of California, or sorry, running for governor of Florida against DeSantis, went on Sneako's podcast, or sorry, Sneako's live stream with Clavicular, who Clavicular Clavicular is just like looking at himself the whole time looking pretty. But it's very funny. These men are also like all suited up to talk to this politician. But yeah, like he goes on here and I want to play the clip, but I'm also nervous about what he's going to say. Hopefully he doesn't say any bad words and then I'm gonna have to edit the video, but let's see.
Some of them are upset that you want to impose a tax on OnlyFans creators, 50%, called the BOP tax, the HO tax. What is this?
It is 50% of everything that people like Sophie Rain make for the simple reason that we want to stop them from doing it. And so the best way to do it, to stop them, is to create a tax that's so high.
I love that he just gives away the game right in the beginning. We want to stop them from doing it. We want to take away their agency. He's not taxing the production companies for adult content. He's not taxing anyone in the traditional adult content industry, which is massive and booming and thriving in Florida, especially Miami. Okay. Like there are huge production companies, there are huge corn companies, like no tax on them again, because those are primarily male companies run by men that are they're not always exploiting women, but they are, it's the men profiting. He wants women who are choosing how to sell content with their own bodies and profiting off that directly. He wants that to stop. It's all about taking away women's agency.
That they don't even want to do it in the first place. And so, look, what THOT stands for is these hoes owe taxes.
Did you see his dumb smile? Like, oh, I bet he thinks he's so smart. I bet ChatGPT came up with that for him.
Okay, and what I said is that I'm going to take this money and improve our school lunches, something that Michelle Obama promised to do.
Which is hilarious because he's also not taxing the billionaires that live in Florida. Again, Florida is a very well-known tax haven. If he wants money for school lunches or all these other things, Florida could institute an income tax. Again, Florida currently doesn't have an income tax. He could start an income tax. He could start taxing even just some of the multi-billionaires in his state, but he doesn't want to do that.
And never actually got around to. But look, Sophie Rain owes the state of Florida $42 million. If she's going to be a resident here, if she's going to go around and sell her images on the internet, we want a cut of it. Or if she wants to stop doing it, she can stop doing it. Those are her choices. Give us our taxes, or she can quit OnlyFans and do something actual.
Also, it's so funny because these are conservatives, right? Like, I think this shows the difference between the old conservative movement and the current conservative movement, because conservatives used to be all about low taxes, right? They used to be all about like, yeah, Florida, like no income tax in Florida. We don't need income tax in anything. And now they're just getting comfortable, like basically saying, which is kind of what I think they've always believed, which is that like it's really just no taxes for us. It's really just no taxes for the rich people. But women, who do things that we don't like, or other groups, we're totally fine with taxes for them.
Actually dignified.
Right, but I'm seeing her argument is that this is going to affect the poor women who just need OnlyFans money to go feed their families.
Yeah.
But would that
I don't buy the...
Would that really disincentivize people that much? Like even a 50% tax, which is how profitable it is?
I think it probably would, Clav. I think if you say, look.
I love Clav chiming in, just like.
If a girl's making let's just say $2,000 a month, and now you say, well, actually, you're going to only make $1,000 a month, and you could normally make, $1,500 a month just working a normal, dignified job, then yeah, you probably would just quit doing OnlyFans. The idea is to take down the earnings you would make on OnlyFans so you can actually do something that produces something of value.
But the
I mean,
problem
let's
is
be
it's
honest,
typically a
Sophie
supplement.
Rain produces no value.
How is Clav more knowledgeable than this man who's running for governor? How does he have this 19-year-old looks maxer has a better understanding of economic policy than the man who is running for governor of Florida?
True.
It's just true. It's just true. And I think the
This Nico is so
problem is that you got
confused.
a lot of young women who say, you know what, I don't want to be a mom anymore. I don't even want to try anymore. I'm just going to hoe out on OnlyFans. And then you hear this excuse. I don't know how many women, have you met any women, Clive, in Miami who are actually starving? If they didn't do OnlyFans, their kids would starve.
No, yeah, that's obviously.
No, he hasn't, because he is a 19-year-old looks maxer who hangs out with rich influencers all day. Have you met any women that, would starve if they didn't get to do content? No, because he is surrounded by multimillionaires. Like, I can't even listen to these people. Whatever. Anyway, terrible, terrible, terrible. Ugh, these are very hateful, stupid. Like, this man is a terrible person. And so here he is, of course, as Florida governor. He's saying, I will not let young, smart, capable women be exploited, blah, 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 blah. Our teachers and students deserve better. First of all, some people work. Teachers don't make any money. You could raise teacher pay without these ridiculous policies. You could start taxing billionaires, right? You could do a lot without these policies. Anyway, so this guy's like, obviously also this has to do with free speech because selling content of yourself is free expression, of course. And I think, by the way, like a lot of people say, oh, well, like live streaming is, OF for straight men. And I think that's funny. Imagine if this man put a 50% tax on Kick streaming earnings, the way that like that entire Kick streaming economy in Miami would absolutely implode. These men would be losing their minds. But it's all misogyny. But anyway, so this guy, James Fishback, he's pretending to be a free speech warrior. So he's like doing all of this reactionary stuff. And then he tweeted this a little while ago. Jay Collins attacked free speech by declaring that Americans don't have the right to harm other people with words. We absolutely have that right. It's called the First Amendment. It's personal for me. What are you talking about? You do not care a cent about the First Amendment. You are literally trying to trample on people's First Amendment rights to sell content of themselves online. So it's just ridiculous. And I think it's kind of funny that he's so focused on like teachers and schools and high school pay and blah, 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 like these teachers in schools. Because one thing about James Fishback, in case you're wondering what he was up to before he was, a hateful bigot running for governor, Reason Magazine reports that a Florida school district actually cut ties with Fishback, who ran an organization called Incubate Debate after he initiated a romantic relationship with a 17-year-old student and faced allegations that he harassed her after they broke up. So that is kind of interesting. Like, I just think that it reveals who these men are and what their ultimate agenda is and how they actually feel about women. Because this guy is, going to war against, these people like Sophie Rain and posting all this reactionary nonsense. But meanwhile, here's what he seems to be up to with teenage women. So yeah, his feed is delusional. Who's this unfortunate young woman who's on his feed? Yeah, he's March for Preborn. He's super, anti-choice, etc. And of course, he's trying to get himself on the Nelk Boys podcast. We need Jay Fishback on a Nelk YouTube video. Let's do it. This man is the biggest. Let me just say, as I posted on Twitter, like I actually don't think I can say what I said on this stream, but Essentially, no one is clout chasing harder than this man. Like, this man's whole thing is like, oh, OF creators like Sophie Rain are essentially attention. You know what I'm saying? But then he is the ultimate attention. Like, no one seeks attention more than this desperate man who is tagging every influencer and trying to go on every stupid live stream to be like, please, please, like, listen to me, listen to my crazy ideas. He really does have Matt Gaetz energy. He's basically like Timu Matt Gaetz. That's what I'm gonna start calling him. He's absurd, and I just think we should leave you with this, little highlight from the Reason magazine interview. Hopefully, I mean, as Reason notes, hopefully he won't win. I don't think he can. Like, maybe he can win. Hopefully he won't. But I do think that running for governor is building his profile, and he's only going to become more and more well known. And he's using um, this run and his campaign to grow himself. And frankly, it sounds like become a social media influencer. Like, that's the irony. All of these men hate women for putting their bodies online and for monetizing themselves online. Brother, what are you doing? You are doing the exact same thing. It's ridiculous. He is extremely online.